So today I'm going to do a bookshelf tour, and I thought this was a great way as another sort of introductory video to YouTube to show you guys my book collection. It is primarily fantasy books. I have a few different shelves around me. So I have my Kallaxes from IKEA in this room. In the other room I have some really nice wooden bookshelves that my husband built me, and then I have sort of other shelves dotted around the house. So I will warn you guys, my collection is a little bit chaotic. Whilst I do try and have authors mostly together on the shelves, my books are sort of all over the place at the moment, and really I need to do a sort out of my shelves, so that could be another video where I sort of tidy them all up. And I think I need to do a lot of unhauling as well. There's a lot of books in my collection that I've either read and not enjoyed, or just books that I haven't read and I'm probably not going to read. I'm trying to be better with my book collecting and only buy physical books if they're nice, sort of hardback special editions. I'm trying to not buy as many paperbacks, and if I'm unsure about books and if I'll enjoy them, or if I'm, not wanting to collect a whole series, I tend to just try and buy them on my Kindle now and save my space for more important books in my life. So yeah, let's get started with the book tour.
So, starting on the top shelf of the wooden shelves that my husband built me, we have the large illustrated editions of Harry Potter. So, I believe they've released all of them up to the Order of the Phoenix. So, I've been collecting them sort of as they come out, and I've just noticed that they're not in the right order. The bottom two are the wrong way around, but I did warn you guys, my shelves are a bit disorganized. And then moving on, next to that, we have White Sand by Brandon Sanderson. This is a graphic novel. I think this is probably one of the only Cosmere books that I've not actually read. I keep meaning to read White Sand. I don't know if I've heard like mixed opinions on the graphic novels, but I really want to read them because I suppose then it will complete my Cosmere sort of understanding and journey. And next to White Sand, we have the Broken Binding editions of the Lies of Locke Lamora trilogy by Scott Lynch. These are lovely. Again, I haven't read the Lies of Locke Lamora yet, and I'm actually not sure if I'm going to keep these editions because I don't know if I am going to love the series, but I suppose I just should read the series first and then decide if I love them enough to keep these special editions. And then you can kind of see on the right hand side my husband's tall neck Lego set, which is one of the robots, I think, from Horizon Zero Dawn. So moving on to the other side of the same shelf, I have the Illumicrate edition of the Phoenix Keeper. And then next to that, I have the first three books in the Expanse series, I think it's called. I'm not. I know that's what the Amazon series calls it, but I don't know if that's what the book series is officially called. But anyway, I have the first three of those in the special editions. I can't remember if they're like anniversary editions, but they're really nice. They have really nice coloured edges. So I mentioned that I had the Illumicrate version of the Phoenix Keeper, and I just love the cover. And if you go on my Instagram, you can see I've done a post where I've removed the dust jacket, and it's so lovely. And I think there's some little drawings inside, and the sprayed edges are really good as well. And then if we move down a shelf, this is kind of, well, it is my Broken Binding shelf. Every single book I have on this shelf is by Broken Binding, or at least, Broken Binding edition, I mean. And we've got the Powder Mage trilogy starting on the left. I really love the edges of these. And moving on, we've got all the Joe Abercrombie books. I haven't read any of them. I attempted to start listening to The Blade itself on audiobook, but I think it's just a bit of it's quite a heavy fantasy to listen to. I don't know if you guys have the same thoughts and struggles with audiobooks. I find if I'm listening to a big fantasy story for the first time, I really struggle to pay attention, and if I lose track for like 10 seconds, I kind of lose track of what's happened. So I tend to save these kind of books for a physical read. So I will get to them. It's a shame I couldn't get on with the audio, but it's nothing to do with the narrator or the author. I think it's literally just my concentration and sort of struggling with listening to these big books on audio. Next to Joe Abercrombie, we have The Ninth Reign, Poison Song, and The Bitter Twins. I'm really excited to read these. Again, I haven't read them. I do own them on my Kindle because I don't want to read any sort of special editions physically because I just know I'll probably end up ruining them. Then we have The Shadow of What Was Lost, An Echo of Things to Come, and The Light of All That Falls. Again, another trilogy I am so excited to read. There's just so many fantasy books out there, and these are all really thick books, and I will get to them. It's just taking me a little while. And then next to that, we have the Tide Child trilogy, I believe. And again, another series I want to read. I do love these editions, though. The edges are really nice, and they all match up if you have them like lined up with the edges outwards. They all sort of match up into one picture, which is really nice. I have a little mushroom, which I thought was cute because, you know, it's never too early to decorate for autumn. And then at the end, we have the Broken Binding editions of Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust. I have read these. I loved Legends and Lattes so much. That was one of my favourite reads of last year, and I really enjoyed it. I did read Bookshops and Bone Dust not too long ago, and I wasn't as much as a fan of this one. I did still enjoy it, and I thought I'd love it more because she's running a bookshop. What's better than that? But I think I just preferred the first book. Moving to the next shelf down, I didn't realise, but pretty much all the books on this shelf, well, actually all the books on this shelf are Brandon Sanderson. So these are my nice hardcover Brandon Sanderson books, and you'll notice I don't have all of the Mistborn books on here, and I don't want to talk about cover changes, but that's why. He changed all the covers for the first trilogy and the second series. So I didn't have any matching paperbacks. So I did buy the Galance ones, which are really nice. But if we start on the left, I have the US editions of Stormlight Archive just because they're my favourite editions. I much prefer these covers to the UK ones, so I'm hoping I can source book 5 in the US edition now that Book Depository's gone. Above that we have You Mean the Nightmare Painter and The Frugal Wizard. I've read The Frugal Wizard. I was very meh about it. I didn't enjoy it that much, and I know a lot of people felt the same. I haven't read You Mean the Nightmare Painter yet though, but I know a lot of people do like that, so I'm hoping to like that one. And the same with The Sunlit Man. I haven't read that. I'm hoping to. I think I'm going to put these all in a video of trying to get through my physical TBR, so they'll definitely be read soon. I haven't got Tress anymore because I really did not like that one either, which is a shame because I know a lot of people really like Tress. I did not like it, so I did unhaul it before shooting this video. So that's gone. That's not in my collection anymore. It's maybe a bit harsh to get rid of it, but I don't know. I just didn't like it. We have the hard copy of The Lost Metal because the only reason I did buy this is because it was literally the same price as buying it on Kindle because I read it as soon as it came out, so I did buy it physically. And then we have the Skyward series. I've read Skyward and Starsight, and I have read some of Skyward Flight. I don't think I've read Cytonic. I've definitely not read Defiant. But I think my plan for these will be to reread Skyward and Starsight and then carry on and finish the series sort of maybe back to back. And then I mentioned, because I did really enjoy Skyward, I enjoyed Starsight less so, but not enough to sort of put me off the series. I really did enjoy Skyward. I really love Spencer and all the characters, so I'm hoping just to carry on with that series soon. And then I mentioned I've got the Golance hardback editions of the first Mistborn trilogy. I really like these, and I got them because the white paperbacks had all changed their covers, and it really bothered me that they weren't matching the rest of my set anymore. So I thought I'd get these. I mean, you can see in this photo, the only issue I have is the inconsistency in the colour. For some reason, I can't remember I think it's just the middle one is darker, the Well of Ascension. I don't know why. I suppose they just couldn't match the colour. But I really love the artwork on these. I think they look great. So I'm glad to have these in my collection. So below my Brandon Sanderson shelf, I have a mixture of books here. You'll see a pattern that my shelves aren't really well organised, but I do try and keep authors somewhat together. So on the very left, we have Yellow Face, which I really enjoyed. I have read this one and I loved it. I thought it was great. I have the Illumicrate edition of To Cage a God. I've not read that. So next I have the first two books in the Bloodsworn saga. I've got The Shadow of the Gods and The Hunger of the Gods. I've not read these, shock. I will get to them again. I will put these on my physical TBR video, so hopefully I will get to them soon. So next there's Babel, which should probably be next to Yellowface. I don't know why it's not, but there we go. I really enjoyed Babel. I loved it. I think I would go as far to say as it was my absolute favourite read of last year. I loved it so much, and I really want to read the Poppy War trilogy as well by R.F. Kuang. I love this book so much. It was great. Next, we have my Michael J. Sullivan collection. So I've not read Legends of the First Empire, which are all the hardbacks I have here. It took me a while to get these hardbacks because I kept seeing them on Instagram and I just convinced myself that I really, really want these hardbacks because they look gorgeous. I don't know what it is about them. I just really love the spines and the covers. And I actually went to Hay on Wye and picked up like 3 of these hardcovers in a charity shop that someone had just donated. I think I got them for like £2 each, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous because people were selling them on eBay for quite a lot. So I managed to get them and then I sourced the rest, I think, on eBay or online. But I'm really happy that I've got all of these because they are my pride of my whole collection. They're not even like special, they're not even a special edition, they've got no fancy edges, but I love them and I always put them on show like this. And then next to that we have the rest of the sort of books that are, I think, are semi-linked to the Legends of the First Empire. So these are the Riera, I don't know if I'm saying that right, the Riera Revelations and Chronicles. I love these books. I'm pretty sure I gave most of them, if not all of them, 5 stars. I just love Hadrian and Royce. I love the journeys they go on, and I just love them so much. So above that I've got some books by Becky Chambers. I've read the first one and I'm not going to say the name because it's very long. I think it's something like The Long Journey to a Small Angry Planet or something. Yeah, I liked it. I think I gave it about 4 stars. I really like the characters. It was not much plot and very heavy, like character driven. It's kind of a vibey book, but I did enjoy it still, and I hope to read the rest at some point. I don't own book 2 because for some reason the shop I went to in Hay on Wye had literally like all of them except book 2, so I bought them and I just need to source the second one. Moving on to the shelf below that, the bottom shelf has my Terry Pratchett collection, and I started collecting all of the Terry Pratchett books in these lovely hardback editions, and I really do like them. I love the art, I love the spines, they look so good next to each other. My only issue is though, I don't think I'm going to carry on collecting them because I just don't think I have space. I can't remember how many books there are, there's a lot, but I think if I bought all of them it would probably take up the whole shelf, if not maybe even another one. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. And I've only read Mort and Reaper Man so far, so it's not even like I'm reading them actively. I will put them on my physical TBR video as well, so I'm hoping to get to more, but I just don't think I have the space to collect anymore, which is a shame because they are lovely, but we'll see. Maybe one day. And then further over on that shelf is just another bunch of sort of random books that I've got. Next, I have Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. I've not read it. It's an Illumicrate book that I got, and I'm excited to read it. Next up, I have another Illumicrate book, which is To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. Again, not read it. I haven't read any of my Illumicrate books because they come monthly. There's no way I'm reading them monthly. But this edition's lovely. It's got a really nice cover and just amazing artwork. I feel like Illumicrate just do the best artwork and really nice edges. So I'm excited to keep getting their books, and I will read them one day. Next to that, I have The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. I hope I'm saying that right. I am really excited for this book. I'm surprised I've not gotten to it yet, but I really want to read this. I don't know why it's not higher up on my TBR, but I will get to it. Again, I think I bought this edition off a friend. I can't remember if it's a Luma Crate or Fairy Loot, but either way, I loved the look of this book, so I did buy it off a friend, and it's got a cat map in the back of it, so I don't know what could be better than that. Next to that is Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. This is probably one of my favourite books of all time. I read this maybe last year and just fell in love instantly. It's a large book, and I was really surprised that I liked it, but I fell in love. I loved it a lot. Then we have Empire of the Vampire and Empire of the Damned by J. Kristoff. I've read Empire of the Vampire. I did enjoy it. It was long, but I enjoyed it. I think it was a bit slow in some places, and I'm not sort of prioritizing picking up Empire of the Damned, so that probably means it's quite a okay-ish book for me. A lot of these I can't really remember the details. I just remember giving it 3 or 4 stars and being like, cool, next book. Then we have the first binding, which I just finished, so I think I gave that 3.5 stars. Again, it was good. It was just really long, but I did enjoy it, and I am reading the arc of The Doors of Midnight at the moment, so I'm hoping to like that a little bit more. Next, we have another Luma Crate book called The Goddess of the River. I don't know anything about this book. I just know that it's pretty, and I do hope to read it soon. Then we have 6 Crimson Cranes and The Dragon's Promise. These were proper cover buys by me. I just looked at them and thought, oh my god, these look so nice. The next one, again, another cover buy, The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan. This is a broken binding edition, and I just saw the cover and was like, I must have it. It's really nice, and the artwork again is lovely. The sprayed edges are really nice. Next, that's another copy of Dragon Mage. This is the Kickstarter edition. I think it's like a fancy leather-bound edition with some art in it, and I had to get it because it's my favourite book. The edges are really nice on this one, so like if you tilt them in a certain way, you can actually see the cover of the original book. And I think if you tilt it the other way, there's another image. It's really nice. And finally, at the end of the shelf, I have The Iron Crown by Al McRae. I'm really excited for this. This was another cover buy. It looked gorgeous. It's a broken binding special edition. I can't remember. Is it like their press edition or something? But it's gorgeous. It's got gold edges and it's lovely. And I think I'm planning on doing a buddy read with this soon, so I will get to this one. The next set of shelves I have are sort of these really small shelves in my home office, and I only have a few books on these, and again they're quite random. So it consists of Dear Future Historians, which is a book of my husband's. It's from a band called Enter Shikari. I then have 2 of the Mina Lima Harry Potter books. I have a couple of Choose Your Own Adventure books because I had a phase where I thought, hey, these might be fun, but actually they're quite hard. So I haven't managed to successfully do one of these, but maybe I'll have a go again. I have the Psych 101 book. I studied psychology at university, so it's just a book that I thought I'd be interested in. I then have a sort of compendium of Edgar Allan Poe works, I think. Again, this is my husband's. My husband bought these. I haven't read any Edgar Allan Poe. I then have on top Planet of the Apes, which is one of my favourite sci-fi books. I love this book so much. My husband bought it me just thinking that I might like it, and I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed it. Below that is I, Robot by Asimov. Again, my husband bought this. He's not read it, but I think I want to read it at some point because I do want to read some more classic fantasy books. Sci-fi. And I heard Isaac Asimov has a lot of classic sci-fi books, so I am intrigued. And then we get into my Star Wars books. So I came across some Star Wars books in a charity shop, and I just love sort of the old vintage look, and the covers, they're really cheesy. I just really like them. Have I read any of them? No. But I will. I just think that they're cool to look at on the shelves, I suppose. And I've heard a lot of these are actually really good. A lot of them are hit and miss, but I know a lot of them are really good. I think I'm quite interested in the Han Solo ones. Then we have Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. There's a few other Thrawn books out there. Maybe I'll get to them one day. Then I bought the Star Wars trilogy that are like in one book. I've read the prequel one and it was fine. I know a lot of people do not like these books and just watch the film, but being me, I wanted to read them as well. So I have read the prequel trilogy and yeah, it was fine. It was nothing special. I think these were written after the films, maybe, if I'm correct. I can't actually remember if that's fact or not, but anyway. And then we have the Tales of King Arthur. So these are like books that have short stories in them, and this one is Tales of King Arthur. So I'm excited to read that because I'm really interested in King Arthur. So moving on to my Kallax shelves. So these are a little bit awkward because they're not very wide, but they're very deep. So I do double stack my books, but we'll go through sort of what's behind them or what's behind the first row as well. So the first books on this shelf are the Songs of Chaos books by Michael R. Miller. I was really lucky and I entered his giveaway and won these, and I'm so hyped to read them because dragons. To be fair, if I hadn't won them, I was really close to buying them anyway because the covers are amazing and I just love the art and I love dragons, and I think you'll see a theme that I love dragons in all of these cover buys and blurb buys. They mostly are to do with dragons. So I'm really excited to get to them. And I have The Sons of Darkness, and I was kindly given this by the author and I need to read it. Mark Lawrence was also kind enough to give me The Book That Wouldn't Burn, so I'm really excited to read that. I have a few Mark Lawrence books, I just need to get to them. And then we have The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. And I read Name of the Wind, or I tried to read Name of the Wind when I was a teenager, like 10 plus years ago, and I think I was just too young and I DNF'd it pretty quick and I just haven't picked it up since. But this is my copy from when I was probably like 14 or 15. I'm just reluctant to pick them up right now because of the whole situation of them not being finished, but it's fine. I'm not gonna sort of rush to get to them. And then behind these we have my Twilight collection, and I didn't really read these as a kid, but I did get to them in my 20s, and yeah, I had a good time with the Twilight books. I did enjoy them. They were cheesy and they were trashy, but I really enjoyed them, and I can understand why a lot of teenage girls like these. So I want to keep them because I really enjoyed them, and I did read Midnight Sun, which is the first book, Twilight, told by Edward's perspective. Then we have Stephen King, 11/22/63. I love this book so much. If you want to read a Stephen King, I recommend this one. It's about the assassination of John F. Kennedy and what would happen if somebody went back in time and tried to stop that assassination. And this book just gives me all the feels. I loved it so much. And then next to them, we have My Neighbor Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service, which are both Ghibli films, and yeah, they are great books. So next to them, I have A Tempest of Tea, which is, I think I pre-ordered this from Waterstones, actually. I was going to say it's a Lumacrate edition, but it's not. I pre-ordered this from Waterstones. I think it's to do with vampires and tea. I'm not 100% sure, but again, I bought this because it sounded really good. Then we have the Atlas 6 and the subsequent books in that series. I have read the Atlas 6 and it was fine. I read it quite quick. It was okay. I think I gave it like 3 stars, and I probably will get to the other 2 eventually. They're just not a priority right now. Then we have Magic Kingdom for Sale / Sold by Terry Brooks. It was fine. I had an okay time with this book. I really loved the start of it. And then I just kind of lost interest halfway through, but I did finish it and it was fine. But I might unhaul that one. Then we have the cloth-bound classics that I started to collect. So we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And then we have Dracula by Bram Stoker. I read Dracula not too long ago. Really, really enjoyed it. I haven't read Pride and Prejudice though yet. And then next to them we have the Look of a King, Pillars of Peace trilogy by Tom Dumbrell, and if you don't follow him on Instagram, you should, because he is a great indie author and I really enjoyed these books. I think he sent me the first one and I fell in love from there. So I've read all 3 of those and really, really enjoyed them. So moving on to the books behind these books, I have The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. I have a book on Henry VIII because I'm just quite interested in the Henry VIII and Tudor. And then we have The Witches, which is, I think, a non-fiction book about Salem, which I really want to read because I've visited Salem and I just find it really interesting. Next, I have Snow Crash, which I hear is a great classic kind of sci-fi to read. I think one of my friends has read this and really enjoyed it. Then I have The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Love this. I think I read it maybe in the spooky season of last year. And yeah, I loved it. It's great and short. I have A Prophecy Unsung by Adam Bishop. I've read the first one in this sort of, I don't know if it's a duology or a series. I read the first one, really enjoyed it. I just need to read the second one. Then I have Tamush by Sven Holm. My husband bought this one. I will read it because I probably likely read everything that he picks up anyway. So I think it's a sci-fi. So then I think my parents got me this book on What Is My Cat Really Thinking, which is quite a little funny sort of jokey book. Then I picked up a Terry Pratchett sort of companion book when I saw it in my local charity shop just because I thought it was cool. It's got some really nice art in it actually. And it's just sort of, I guess, a companion to all the Discworld novels and the world around it. Next, I have Cinder by Marissa Mayer. And then I have A Magic Steeped in Poison. On the next shelf, I have the remainder of my Brandon Sanderson books. So most of these are paperback that I kind of didn't think would sit nicely on my other hardback shelf. I do have the Bands of Mourning hardback. I think I'll probably unhaul it and start fresh with that collection. I've got The Rhythmatist, which is not a Cosmere novel, but I really think it's one of the underrated Brandon Sanderson novels. I really enjoyed this one. Then I have Arcanum Unbounded, love that, and then The Secret History and Warbreaker. Next I have a CJ Sampson book, which is Revelation, and I really enjoy the CJ Sampson sort of Tudor murder mystery series. I think it's great. I don't read much historical fiction, but I really, really love the setting and just the fact that it's like murder mystery in Tudor times, which I think is really cool. So next I have the 2 books by Daniel T. Jackson. I've read Illborn and I really enjoyed it. I haven't read book 2, but I'm sure I will get to it. Behind them I have a mishmash of books. I have a book that a friend lent me called Making Evil. I have another George R. R. Martin. I have a George R. R. Martin book called Night Flyers. This isn't part of Game of Thrones. I think it's just a sci-fi one-off. I've not read this. My husband has, but really enjoyed it. I have a Sharp book by Bernard Cornwell. And I have my original Game of Thrones book, which I did take to a Comic-Con and got it signed by the actor that plays Sir Meryn Trent, who's like the really horrible guard. He was really horrible to Arya. I met him and got him to sign it, which was nice. I then have the Grimm fairy tales, which I am quite excited to read those because I've always heard some like gruesome things about their fairy tales. I have another Stephen King. This one's Mr. Mercedes. Then I have Kafka on the Shore by Murakami. I love this book. It was my first Murakami book, and I haven't actually read any of the Murakamis yet, but I really want to. I really love this. His work is so abstract and strange, which is obviously the point, and I thought this book was really weird, and yeah, loved it. Then I have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I really love that, and I really want to read some more dark academia. Next, I have a really random Agatha Christie compendium. It's got, I think, 4 Mrs. Marple books in it. So I've always wanted to read Agatha Christie, and I know a lot of people love her work. So if I want to dip my toes in, I think I'll start there. And then I have a graphic novel called Pumpkinheads, which is a Rainbow Rowell book. And yeah, I love this. I think I read it a couple of Halloweens ago and thought it was really cozy and nice. Moving on to the next shelf, this is where I have all my manga. So Currently it's taken up by pretty much the entire Inuyasha collection because I love Inuyasha. And then I have Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, which is another manga series that's coming out. I think the last book was released last month, and then the next one I think is in like September time. The next shelf, I have some Robin Hobb, I have Kings of the Wild, and I have a V. Schwab book. I also have a reading journal on here, and I have some non-fiction sort of creative writing books and a psychology statistics book. The Wonder book is actually really good. If you're interested in world building or writing fantasy, I really recommend that book. It's got loads of like really vivid imagery in there that helps with just like, yeah, writing a book, I suppose. It's not just blocks of text that you're having to read through. And it's got loads of activities in there as well, which I think is really useful. My Robin Hobb collection, though, I only own the first 3 books because sadly I did DNF Live Ship Traders. I think I was halfway through the second book, and then I thought, oh, it's okay, I didn't like Live Ship, so I'll pick up the next Fitz trilogy. Yeah, I couldn't get on with that either, so I really loved the first trilogy though, so I have kept it because I loved it. I don't. So behind these I have another group of those sort of novella books, and I have a Witch and Wizards one, a Bram Stoker one, Norse myths and tales, and also the Japanese myths and tales one. Then I have Stephen King's On Writing. I haven't read this yet. I think it's obviously going to be a bit heavier than the Wonder book with less images and stuff, but when I feel like I want to try my hand at writing again, I think I'll pick that one up. Then I have Knight's Oath on the far side. On the left side, I have 2 Tolkien books that I picked up from a charity shop near me. I think they're first editions, but they're really nice old Tolkien books, and I think one of them's got a fancy map in, so I thought I'd pick those up because they're just gorgeous. Then moving down on the Kallax, I have 2 Elizabeth Lim books, Unravel the Dusk and Spin the Dawn. I have another John Gwynne series. I've Malice, Valor, Ruin and Wrath. I did get partway through Malice and I just don't think it was the right time, so I put it down. I probably will DNF it for now because I'm not gonna, if I pick it up now, I can't remember sort of what's happened up to the point where I finished it. So I do hope to get to it one day because I really want to like John Gwynne's writing, and I think I would. I just don't think it was the right time. Then we have one of my favourite trilogies, which is Howl's Moving Castle. So that's Howl's Moving Castle, Castle in the Air, and The House of Many Ways. This is probably the rare occasion where I will say the Ghibli film is probably a lot better than the book, but I still love the books and really enjoyed reading them. Behind that, I have the Rainbow Rowell series, the Simon Snow series, which is like a bit of a Harry Potter fan fiction, I believe. I really enjoyed these. They were just really light, kind of trashy reads. I've got Watership Down, which I read probably last year, I think. And then I've got some more classics. I've got another Pride and Prejudice. I've got Emma, and I've got Wuthering Heights. And then below that is my Game of Thrones shelf, which starts with Fire and Blood. And these are the matching covers. If you saw my original one a few clips back, that obviously didn't match all of the original, well, these aren't the original covers, but you know, they didn't match those covers, so I did buy the first one just so that they all match. And then behind that I've got the illustrated editions of Game of Thrones and Clash of Kings. I don't know what happened to the third book, but it's not in print anymore, so I haven't been able to get my hands on that. Then I've got Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which I love so much. They're making that into a show soon, actually, the Duncan Egg show. So I recommend, if you like George R. R. Martin and you want more Game of Thrones, but you know, it isn't Game of Thrones, then you should pick up Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's 3 novellas, so they're not long books. And yeah, the story's just great. Then I have some more Stephen King books. So I bought these off Instagram. They're just the original, or, you know, like an older cover, I suppose. And I just really like the way the old horror books look. So I've bought them. There's a bunch there. And then moving on, I have the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I have some Roman myths. I then have the City of Brass, Kingdom of Copper and Empire of Gold trilogy and the novella that goes with it. I have read City of Brass and Kingdom of Copper. Loved City of Brass. It was close to being one of my favourite books this year. I gave it 5 stars. And then everyone was raving about how good book 2 was, and I read it and I was a bit more middle of the road about it. I don't know why, but I just was. I will get to Empire Gold at some point because I would like to finish this series. I just lost the motivation a little bit after book 2. And then there is The Once and Future King by T.H. White. And then behind these books, I have another Stephen King, which is, I think I got this from a charity shop. It's Carrie and the Tommyknockers. Then I have The House of the Seven Gables, which is also from a charity shop. I bought this because I mentioned we went to Salem, and one of the big attractions in Salem is the house where this book is based on, The House of the Seven Gables, and it was amazing. Then I have the Earthsea sort of collection. Again, I really enjoyed maybe like the first 2 books in this, and then I really struggled with the rest. But the first 2 books in the Earthsea collection were some of my favourite books ever. Then I have It by Stephen King. Really loved this book. Probably one of my favourite Stephen King books. I have book 2 in this, I can't remember what this series is called, but The Blinding Knife, book 2 of whatever series this is by Brent Weeks. Again, I pick up these random books from charity shops and then I'm like, oh, I'll find book 1 at some point, but I'm sure a lot of us do that. Then I have Jurassic Park. Love this. This is another sci-fi that my husband got me thinking I would like it, and I did. I really, really enjoyed Jurassic Park. And then I have Battle Royale, which I really want to get to at some point. I'm really excited to read that. On the shelf next to that, I have Dune by Frank Herbert. I have a book that my auntie got me for my birthday this year. I think it's a thriller. It's called Has Anyone Seen Charlotte Salter? Then I have another book I got from my birthday off some friends. This is a non-fiction. It's called Beyond Measure. I think it's a book about sort of how measurements came to be and why we use these measurements, which could be quite interesting. I don't usually read non-fiction, so this will be big brain energy, but I think it'll be good. I have some more Mark Lawrence books. I have The Prince of Thorns, King of Thorns and Emperor of Thorns. Then I have some D&D books, which if I'm in the mood for some proper like classic fantasy, I feel like I'll get to these. And then on top I have book 2 of the Outlander series, which I am still yet to get to. I've read book 1 and enjoyed it. Behind these I then have pretty much my entire Lemony Snicket collection. So I have all of them, so books 1 to 13. These were great. I read these last year, I think, as palette cleansers. And then I've got Nevermore as well, which I'm yet to read. Next to them, I have The Study Chronicles, which is a bunch of short stories in the Poison Study series, which I absolutely love the Poison Study series. I mean, I think I've read the first 3 books, then I was told to read this and then another trilogy in between by the same author, and then I'll finish the last 3 books in the Poison Study series. I loved these books and I just need to get back to them. Then I have Winterkeep by Kristen Cashaw. Then I have another 2 random paperback books from the Expanse series. Again, I've been picking these up in charity shops, that's why I have 9 and 4, and they're not in order. Then I have some ancient Egyptian books to satisfy my random craving of Egyptian history. So I'm excited to read those. Then I have my Lord of the Rings books and my copy of The Hobbit. Next to those, I have the manga Nausicaa. Loved this manga so much. It's so beautifully illustrated, and these editions are just lovely. Then I have Black Leopard, Red Wolf, and Moon Witch Spider King. Then I have the Natural History of Dragons set. I love Natural History of Dragons to the point where I think I read it in one sitting. I binged it. But then I wasn't so keen on book 2. Why does this keep happening to me? So I probably will carry on with the rest of the series. I just keep reading like the second book and being disheartened and not enjoying it as much. So on top of them, I have my Witch Hat Atelier collection. Really enjoying this manga, and I hope to read them all. I'm just trying to pace them out a bit because they are short, and obviously the expense of buying them all physically. Then finally, behind these, I have my random collection of the Tales of Redwall. So these are a collection of books that I think a lot of people read in their childhood, but I didn't. And I love the sound of them because it's about like little animals and little mice in forests with like autumnal vibes, and they just go throughout their daily business. And I think one of them's a warrior and they live in castles and stuff. And it just sounds great. It sounds like a mixture between like little animals and nature and then medieval kind of knights and sword fighting. I read the first two of these. I haven't read the rest yet, but I hope to. I was really happy as well because I really wanted these covers specifically, which is why they're a bit beaten up because they're secondhand. But the gold spines and just the look of them and like the old sort of vintage covers, I specifically wanted these ones. So it took a bit of hunting, but I got them all. And I have another Brandon Sanderson novella. This one's Edge Dancer. And then I have a dictionary of Tolkien, which I think I found at a charity shop. So I purchased that. So the next few books that I kind of have just stacked on my bedside table are ones that I hope to get to soon. So I put them on my bedside table so that I just don't forget to read them when they're sort of mingled in with my other books. So in this stack from the top, I have Mordew. I've heard great things about this and I'm really excited to get to this. I might even take this one when I go on holiday next month. Then I have a light novel for Ascendance of a Bookworm. This is the first volume. I then have A Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin. You probably saw that it was missing from the Game of Thrones sort of part of my shelf, so here it is. It will be a reread for me, but I can't wait to get to it because I reread Game of Thrones recently and loved it even more than I did the first time. Then I have a Guild Wars book because I was on a proper Guild Wars hype earlier in the year. If you don't know what that is, it's like an MMO, and yeah, I was obsessed with that game. So when I found out there were books, I just had to get them. Then we have the Dragonbone Chair, which I'm really excited to read. I heard this is what influenced Game of Thrones a little bit, and obviously the Broken Binding are coming out with some stunning editions for the sub, so I'm really excited for those. Then we have my normal edition of Leviathan Wakes. I'll read this one obviously over reading the special edition one, so I don't damage it. Then I have Witch Hat Atlia number 5. Then I have The Time of the Dark. I picked this up on a whim. I like the sound of it, so I picked it up, and it's really short, so I'm hoping to get to it soon. Next is Rotherweird, which is another case of picking it up because I like the sound of it. Then I have a random book on Japanese legends and folklore. And below that we have Heartstone by C.J. Sampson, which is another book in his sort of Tudor murder mystery series. That's the next one I have to read, so I'm excited for that. Next is the Penguin Book of Myths and Legends of Ancient Egypt. Again, for when I'm interested in reading some shorter novels about Egypt. Then I have The Last Hero by Terry Pratchett. I was kindly sent this by Galance, and oh my god, this edition is stunning. It has so many nice pictures inside, and I don't know if you can see, but they're just lovely. Next I have The Last Hero by Terry Pratchett. I was kind enough to be sent this from Galance, and oh my god, the inside is stunning. There's so many really nice illustrations, and I'm really excited to read this one because I don't own this in the hardback, so yeah. And at the bottom I have The Harbinger of Justice by Andrew Watson. Some of you may follow him on Instagram, and I know a lot of you have probably read this one already, and yeah, I'm bumping it up my TBR. I'm really excited to get to it. I did buy it, I think, on release. I've just had so many books to read, so I'm hoping I get to this one soon.
Okay, so that was my entire current book collection. In the future, I hope to obviously expand my collection. And like I said, I'm probably going to change out a whole bunch of my paperbacks. I'm going to unhaul some books, and hopefully I'll have more space then for the nicer books in my collection, really. And like I said, if I'm unsure about some books, I'm going to try and mostly get them on Kindle. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!